Welcome back, everybody. The Bergara B14R Carbon is going to be back on the screen today, wearing my Riton X5 Conquer in 5 to 25 MRAD. I've been running that B14R Carbon for the past couple of months, standing it up on those Harris bipods, and I just put that sweet new Timney hit trigger in that thing, making it very, very nice out on the range. And honestly, how this package is set up now, it has just become one of my favorite rifles to take out to the range and just have a ton of fun with and not break the bank. The Riton X5 Conquer topped this thing off very nicely. And if you're looking for an MRAD Christmas tree style reticle for very fast acquisition and hits on target, this is just going to be an answer you're going to want to look into. When it comes to scopes, specs are extremely important, so we are going to get right into those so you have a very good understanding of what the X5 Conquer is all about. Now, this specific version is going to come in a 5 to 25 power, so 5 being the minimum 5 times and 25 being the maximum. Your parallax adjustment is going to be from 10 to infinity, and it is super easy to set this thing in. The tube diameter is going to be 34 millimeter, and it's going to have a monster objective lens of 50 millimeters, providing great light pass through. The reticle here is going to be first focal plane. Now, if you don't know what first focal plane is, first is fancy, second is simple. The fancy one grows in size as you add magnification, where a simple or second plane, that's just how I remember it, that reticle stays the same size throughout the magnification zones. A little bit about the glass on here is going to be fully multi-coated. It's going to be a wideband coating on there, waterproof, low light enhancement, all of the stuff that you would expect out of a scope at this level. The reticle in there is going to be red illuminated, which is awesome. It's really going to help you out when you start getting into early morning or early evening, that dawn and dusk time frame. Your field of view here at max magnification is going to be 4.5 feet, and at minimum magnification at 5x, it's going to be 22.5 feet, so not bad overall. The one thing I will say about the body on this scope, talking to Riton, it's actually a little bit thicker in that design than a lot of scopes are, and they did that for durability. They beefed up not only the scope body, but the internal mechanisms as well, which will have a little bit to do with weight, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But it provides a very rugged scope. And of course, like any other quality scope, it is nitrogen purged. The eye relief here, or your eye box, is going to be approximately 3.7 inches. And I will say it's pretty forgiving, especially on the lower magnification. I think we all understand once you max it out, you're going to have to be right in that zone to get the best overall picture through the scope that you possibly can. Your adjustments up on the turret are going to be in 1/10 MRAD. They do have MOA versions for those of you that are into the MOA thing, and you'll have a total adjustment range of 22 MRADs. Your mounting length here is going to be 7.75 inches. Overall length is going to be 15.37, and that weight is going to come in at 34 ounces. You'll get a couple of small items with this to include an integrated throw lever. You're going to get flip-up lens covers, a lens cloth, and you will get the small Allen wrench to reset your turret to 0 that you're going to need once you get it done and zeroed in. Even though specs matter, the range performance is where the rubber really meets the road. But before we get into that, make sure you do get subbed up to the channel and comment down below, because since I've been demonetized, I'm being throttled a little bit, and that would just be a huge help to the channel. So getting into that range footage, I have to say I am impressed with this, especially for the price point that you're going to be able to get this scope for. On the range, this glass is beautiful, and that reticle is straight money. So the MRAD Christmas tree style reticle is just going to be super clear and very easy to use, especially for someone who is a novice like me. I know this is only on my 22 LR, but glassing stuff out to long distances, say 600-800 yards, was very clear, very crisp, with very little chromatic aberration. Basically, as you look at like a high contrast item out there on the range, maybe it's a super light background, dark object, or super dark background and light object, it's going to be the fuzziness or kind of the, the missing of colors, or it might look really weird or fuzzy. That's kind of like chromatic aberration, and that's really big in the photography world with lenses, which I have a little bit of knowledge on, but it plays a huge role in getting clear, concise pictures that are color correct when you're looking through a scope at longer distances. I got to test this out in a variety of light conditions from midday to dawn and dusk. So most of the shooting I did with this, since it is summertime still in Arizona when I shot the footage, was very early morning or very early in the evening. So that dawn to dusk time frame. I will say with that 34mm main tube and that monster 50mm objective tube, the end there, it did really well in the low light, because where I shoot out there, there is nothing around. There is no ambient light. So once the sun starts going behind the mountain, you lose daylight very rapidly. And some of the ability to be able to use the Riton X5 in lower light conditions is going to be due not only to their low light coatings, but that HD glass as well. So on Riton's website, they say this has a 99.5% light transmission, which pretty much means all usable light in the area. So it did make for a good clear picture through the scope, even in those darker mornings or darker early evening. When it comes to zeroing this on the range, it's super easy. Shoot a couple groups, dial in what you need, use the included Allen wrench, take the cap off, set it back to 0, and you're also going to have a 0 stop turret on there. And I played with those a lot to make sure the mechanism in there was going to be solid and return it exactly to 0 each and every time, multiple times out there, every day I had it on the range. Riton has a very detailed description and pictures of their reticle online, so you can see exactly what the measurements are and know that thing by heart, just in case you want to use the reticle in body rather than dial the dope with your turret. Now, if you don't know what dope means, it's data over previous engagements. That's just, if you miss, you know how much you missed by, you dial in, and then you hit your target. That can all be accomplished with the in-body reticle. Between the glass and the reticle, there is no doubt in my mind, in the right hands on the right rifle, this thing would be capable of some serious precise shots at some serious distances. Even though I kind of want to keep the X5 on the Bergara right here because it just looks good and it's been a ton of fun, I think it's deserving of getting the legs stretched a little bit. So I'm almost positive I'm going to have some more bolt guns coming in. And I think I want to put this on one of them, maybe a 6.5 PRC or a Creedmoor, to just really see how it's going to perform at those longer distances, say 600, 800, or 1,000 yards. Hopefully we can get to the range that's going to allow us to do that, but it's a pain, especially when the weather's good. Those things are all soaked up by competitions and like competitors out there, classes renting the ranges, so it kind of sucks. But I think I got a spot in the desert, and I think this thing just deserves a little bit more. But what are my big takeaways here from the Riton X5 Conquer? The first one's going to be they have really nice glass in here. They've done a good job on the reticle and just makes it super easy to use out on the range. The construction they went with here, beefing up the tube and the internal mechanisms on this, is definitely nice, but they carry that lifetime warranty as well. So that's going to be huge for a lot of us out there, and it seems to be that's really becoming like an industry standard. If there's one thing you could pick on the Riton X5 for just a tiny bit, I guess it could be that 34 ounces. So if you compare that to something, say like a Leupold Mark V HD, which comes in at 30 ounces, it's a little portly by 4 ounces. But again, the construction inside of that thing and that tube body diameter that they use in the wall thickness is a little bit beefier. So we'd expect it to be just a slight amount heavier. And then glass is going to weigh different depending on where it was sourced and how it was made. Well, now that you know all of that, what about the price point? So the X5 Conquer in 5 to 25 MRAD is MSRP'd at $969, which I think you all probably know is not really the price you're going to find it for in stores. So looking around, it can be had for about $599. And knowing that it can be had for $595, it is just solid. I've been testing a lot of different scopes behind the scenes. Some I'm not going to do videos on because they just didn't live up to what the manufacturer said. But this thing lived up to what they said, especially for that price point. Another huge positive for me, they are an Arizona-based company, which is awesome. Anytime I can support an AZ-based business where I live, I'm happy to do so. They've also got several different lines. They have you covered whether you're looking at that budget entry level but still want a quality scope, or optic, red dot, anything like that. That mid-grade, and they do have a top tier line, their X7. I have one of those. It's currently on that new chassis build that I did a little video on. I haven't even fired the thing yet, but I cannot wait. I'm super excited about it. I'm just waiting on the last couple of things to come in. That is what I have for you all today on the Riton X5 Conquer in 5-25 MRAD. Make sure you get subbed up to the channel, turn the notification icons on, leave me a comment down below on if you are interested in checking out a new scope, whether you're trying to get rid of an old one or you're just getting into a little bit more of the precision stuff. Get out on the range, have some fun, even if it's with a 22 LR. I will see you guys on the next one.